time, and so she's been a part of the problem. You mentioned the U.S. recovery. That's the problem. We never really recovered from anything. We just got sicker, except we didn't feel the pain because we had all this, QE Novocaine. That's why the markets are going down now. They're starting to discount the removal of the QE, and I think the markets are going to be in a downtrend until the Fed gives in and gives the market another fix. That's what the market needs to sustain these excess valuations. That's what we need to maintain the illusion of a recovery, and that's what the Fed is going to deliver. And eventually we're going to get that, and the markets will turn around. But until then, the trend is going to be down.
Peter, you've got to be the only one out there saying that. You're out on a limb here. Nobody at the Fed, nobody from Fisher to Evans or anybody is talking about QE, what would it be, 4? Nobody's talking about that, Peter.
Well, no, I think it's just the same QE. They're just going to ramp it back up. Of course, they can't come out and say that, but if you pay attention to what they say, they have always maintained that the tapering timetable or this glide path is data dependent. They're saying if the data changes, that they could adjust the size of the QE back up. And they're looking for an excuse. They're going to get the data. Remember, the reason that Ben Bernanke claimed that he had the confidence to taper was because we had a recovery that was based on rising asset prices. He took credit for the rise in the stock market, for the rise in the real estate market, and he said that that wealth effect was resulting in more consumption, and that's why we had a recovery. Well, all that was phony. It was a result of his QE. You can't take the QE away and expect the phony recovery to continue. You can't expect asset prices to stay elevated without the Fed propping them up. And when the wealth effect works in reverse, we're right back in a recession. And so the only way to avoid a recession is to give the market more QE. Of course, in the long run, you're damaging the economy. All this QE has hurt the real economy, but it has pushed up asset values, benefiting a few people, but at the expense of the overwhelming majority of Americans.
Are you one of those people that it's benefited, Peter?
Well, I benefit to a degree. I don't directly get any cheap money from the Fed, but yes, I own a lot of assets. I own assets all around the world. I own productive assets. And yes, to that extent, I am benefiting and will benefit from the inflation that the Fed is creating. But I'm benefiting as an investor. I am not benefiting as an American. I would much rather prefer the government to pursue policies that benefit my country. So, maybe I could bet on it instead of betting against it, which ultimately I'm doing by owning gold, owning commodities, investing most of my money internationally to try to escape the damage that the Fed and the government are doing